Eyewitness News has learned that a man with ties to El Chapo's Sinaloa drug cartel was found gunned down Thanksgiving morning.
Welcome to the darkest truth in America in 2025. At 4:32 in the morning, while Los Angeles was still shrouded in fog, hundreds of DEA, FBI, and SWAT agents simultaneously descended, seizing 3.4 tons of drugs and uncovering a $410 million money laundering network. But that was only the surface. Evidence inside 2 ice-cold hard drives pointed straight to the heart of power in California. Governor Alex Cortez was in fact the director of the Sinaloa Cartel's empire inside the United States. How did an entire state get turned into a cartel's backyard? This video will take you to the very bottom of the Solaris nightmare. Don't miss it. The Department of Justice, together with all relevant law enforcement agencies, reaffirms its ironclad commitment to relentlessly continue dismantling this massive transnational criminal organization in its entirety, apprehending every one of these dangerous criminals and locking them away to keep our nation absolutely safe from all threats. The enormous quantities of drugs that all of you have witnessed with your own eyes today will never again have the chance to destroy another life or tear apart another family. At exactly 4:32 in the morning in the city of Los Angeles, California law enforcement successfully seized 3.4 tons of various narcotics and exposed a money laundering operation worth as much as $410 million. The governor of the state himself was the one running the transportation network for Sinaloa, with 112 state-level officials fully bought off and completely compromised. This is the largest political infiltration by a cartel ever uncovered on United States soil in history. At 4:32 in the morning, while the cold ocean fog still blanketed Los Angeles, the first flashbang grenade ripped through the darkness, kicking off a joint DEA, FBI, and ICE operation that simultaneously raided 7 underground casinos, 11 cartel bars, 3 fake massage parlors, and 4 massive warehouses stretching from downtown all the way to Riverside. Black-clad agents ghosted through alleys and back doors like shadows. Inside the casino, hidden in Koreatown slot machines, exploded poker chips sprayed like bullets. 5 couriers clutching duffel bags stuffed with cash and drugs bolted for the emergency exit, only to be slammed face first onto the icy concrete amid the thick fog. The pulsing neon heartbeat of the city suddenly went dark under the roar of federal justice. In just 40 minutes, 168 suspects were completely subdued. Under the VIP lights, trays of blue fentanyl glittered like jewels of death. Agents seized $19.4 million in cash, 320 kilograms of cocaine, 1.2 tons of methamphetamine, and 840,000 fentanyl pills disguised as prescription drugs enough to wipe out an entire major city. But the real shock was hidden beneath the wooden floor of the private gambling room, 2 encrypted hard drives sealed inside steel boxes that pointed not only to the Sinaloa Cartel, but straight into the darkness at the heart of California's government. As those steel boxes were dragged out of the Koreatown casino through the fog, no one imagined they would change the fate of an entire state. At 6:12 in the morning, the FBI Los Angeles Cyber Forensics Lab fell into tense silence as the final software cracked the first hard drive. On the screen was no ordinary drug ledger, but a colossal network codenamed Solaris, 36 shell companies, 51 offshore accounts, 14 restaurant chains, 5 paper-only charities. $410 million laundered spotless through 4 countries and 3 continents with surgical precision. Under the cold glow of the monitors, the entire room realized they hadn't just taken down a cartel pipeline, they had touched the darkest financial artery of California itself. The most horrifying revelation lay buried in the hidden digital signatures. Every money transfer order, every secret approval bore the digital fingerprint of Governor Alex Cortez himself. His private encryption key appeared on 319 classified transactions and opened direct backdoors all the way to Sinaloa. While the public heard him speechifying about justice and reform, he was the master architect, the commanding brain behind the most sophisticated network the cartel had ever built on American soil. From the gleaming podium to the ice-cold hard drives beneath the casino floor, one single man had turned the entire state of California into the personal backyard of transnational crime. Deeper analysis revealed 112 containers labeled electronic equipment from Tijuana into Long Beach were actually packed with precursor chemicals, while 27 so-called humanitarian shipments were trucks hauling tons of forbidden cargo. The payment ledger laid bare a shadow police force, 63 California Highway Patrol officers, 19 border agents, and dozens of supervisors drawing fixed monthly salaries from Solaris, not sporadic bribes, but full-time payroll. They were the cartel's second army, loyal to no one else. At 7 in the morning inside the FBI war room, everyone understood this was no longer corruption. This was state capture. Project Solaris was Governor Cortez's master blueprint to transform California into Sinaloa's West Coast empire. At exactly 5 in the morning, the Sacramento Command Center blazed with light. On the digital map, 74 red dots stretched from Los Angeles to Fresno. The entire bloodstream of Solaris, the Empire Governor Alex Cortez had built for Sinaloa. No negotiations, no warnings. Only one order rang out: wipe it out. 1,200 federal agents, 41 SWAT teams, 22 Blackhawks, and 9 MRAP armored vehicles rolled out at once. This was no longer an operation. This was a statewide purge. Before dawn broke, California woke not to news, but to gunfire and the thunder of helicopters. Solaris was about to be crushed piece by piece along with the man who created it. In San Bernardino, just before dawn, 4 Blackhawks fast-roped onto the roof of a 60,000-square-foot warehouse. The moment agents' boots hit steel, Sinaloa hired guns, opened fire. The rooftop instantly became a battlefield. Tracers arced through the dark. Snipers on the choppers returned fire rounds falling like burning meteorites. Breach teams rappelled down the walls while fentanyl chemical smoke poured out. Inside, nearly a ton of precursors hidden in barrels labeled industrial solvent. AKs thundered through the loading bay as the cartel tried to encircle. 13 minutes of hell ended when an MRAP smashed through the east wall, steel roaring like an avalanche, pinning the last gunmen to their knees amid piles of scalding brass. At the same moment, up in the Malibu hills, the Solaris Fortress mansion emerged from the early mist. Steel doors, bulletproof glass, and an underground tunnel system had turned it into an impregnable bunker. The instant SWAT breached the gate, 16 mercenaries on the balcony unleashed a storm of AR-15 fire. Flashbangs detonated, granite exploded into shards. Agents advanced yard by yard behind marble columns and overturned tables while smoke choked the air. High above, thermal drones spotted runners fleeing underground. The FBI assault team pushed into the narrow corridors, guns roaring non-stop amid flickering security monitors and money-counting machines still spinning like mad. Solaris was dying inside its very last stronghold. By noon, the cold tally: 287 in cuffs, 3.4 tons of narcotics, $27.8 million in cash and gold, 202 firearms, and 1 server farm holding the living memory of Solaris. In just 6 hours, California's underworld had suffered more damage than in the previous 6 years combined. The smoke cleared, the guns fell silent, but every commander knew this was not the end. As digital forensic experts dumped the data from Malibu and San Bernardino across the screens, the real picture emerged darker than anyone had imagined. This was not mere cooperation with the cartel. It was a complete criminal infrastructure designed by Governor Cortez himself, woven so tightly into the state's administrative bloodstream that it had become a malignant tumor impossible to excise. At 9:14 in the morning, inside the FBI Los Angeles office, the Solaris command log lit up the giant screen like a symphony of crime. Governor Alex Cortez wasn't on the sidelines. He was the conductor, personally signing 46 temporary border relaxation orders, each one opening the gate for just the right few hours, so Sinaloa convoys slipped through without a single checkpoint. Routes, times, security details, everything annotated by his own hand with the meticulous care of a routine government calendar. Every administrative coincidence meant another massive shipment of methamphetamine cocaine precursors or cash gliding into California through official state channels. Solaris wasn't manipulating the government had become Solaris. Even more horrifying, 63 California Highway Patrol officers personally handpicked by Cortez were paid between $12,000 and $22,000 a month through the governor's own charity funds to escort convoys, divert traffic, and stall their fellow officers whenever cartel trucks were rolling. 19 border agents pocketed up to $50,000 per shift to open green lanes, letting trucks loaded with precursors and fake pills sail through without a single question. Offshore debit cards bearing the Solaris logo were handed out like company perks. Cortez's fingerprints were everywhere encrypted. Recordings captured his calm voice, discussing supply chain disruptions with Sinaloa lieutenants whenever a raid loomed, as if he were running a legitimate corporation instead of the biggest drug empire on the West Coast. The final recording, Cortez's own voice calmly ordering the transfer of medical supplies into a disguised fentanyl factory using state emergency funds to buy signal jammers so Sinaloa convoys could roll in total radio silence. $118.7 million flowed straight into his personal accounts over 36 months. California hadn't been infiltrated by the cartel. It had become Sinaloa's safest territory on Earth, protected by executive orders and taxpayer money. At noon, the war room fell dead silent. The evidence sat there sharp and undeniable. To kill Solaris, they no longer just had to fight the cartel. They had to take down the man sitting in the governor's chair, the one who had turned an entire state into his personal weapon. If the governor himself is the Sinaloa boss, who the hell in government can you still trust? At 14:47, unmarked black vans rolled up silently in front of dozens of California police stations. Doors swung open, federal agents stepped out, arrest warrants in hand. No sirens, no warnings, only the cold metallic click of figure-8 cuffs. In downtown Los Angeles, 3 sergeants who had once been pinned with medals for outstanding service were marched down the hallway under the stunned stares of their own colleagues. In San Diego, a patrol captain was yanked from his command desk the moment his radio logs matched Sinaloa truck routes, minute for minute. Bakersfield, Stockton, Orange County, the same scene everywhere. Men who had sworn to uphold the law now knelt in the middle of their own headquarters. Operation Clean Slate had opened fire. Solaris had already lost the streets. Now it was about to lose every last uniform that had protected it for years. It wasn't petty bribes. They were on a fixed payroll, $10,000 a month in training stipends from funds personally signed off by Cortez. In Orange County, an entire strategic planning unit was cuffed right in the briefing room the moment their fake patrol grid was exposed 27 times. They had accidentally pulled units away exactly when Sinaloa convoys rolled through. In San Diego, the deputy chief of police was hit at his own desk. Drawers yanked open 5 burner phones, 2 offshore cards, and a notebook listing 11 officers by name and their exact roles inside Solaris. As the figure-8 cuffs snapped shut, he only whispered, "You have no idea who really runs California." Corruption didn't stop at the police. 7 California judges were quietly walked out in cuffs, their records showing they slashed sentences for Solaris kingpins in exchange for millions funneled into Cortez's campaign funds. In Sacramento, 14 state legislators were marched out of the Capitol building in handcuffs for signing oversight waivers on infrastructure projects that were actually hundreds of miles of drug corridors. The biggest shock was the human toll. In San Bernardino, a 22-year veteran detective collapsed in the hallway when the lieutenant who once took a bullet for him was dragged away. "He saved my life," he choked out. "I never thought the man wearing the same badge would sell all our souls to Sinaloa." In a single day, the faith of thousands of honest cops was shattered without a single shot fired. As night fell, the final count was ice-cold: 41 state officers, 19 federal employees, 7 high-ranking officials cuffed and marched out under flashing lights. The entire background check system was torn open and restarted from scratch. Internal audits spread like wildfire. Only one message still echoed: if Cortez had turned the badge into a weapon, the badge would be reforged from the ashes. When the last click of cuffs faded away, the analysts turned back to the still-beating heart of Solaris terabytes of data from Malibu and San Bernardino. What appeared on the screens was no longer state-level corruption. It was the map of a continent-spanning drug empire, with California merely the first jewel already polished and ready for the crown. The real game had only just begun. At 6:40 in the evening, inside a secure underground room at the FBI Los Angeles field office, analysts projected the full Solaris master diagram onto a 40-foot digital wall. Nodes and financial pipelines sprawled across the western United States like a spider web. At the glowing red center, one single title pulsed like the empire's heartbeat: Solaris Core Western Distribution Authority. It wasn't a code name. It was a charter of dominion, and Governor Alex Cortez wasn't a participant. He was the director. The ledgers revealed that over the past 2 years, 82% of all fentanyl entering the West Coast had moved through routes controlled by Solaris. This operation wasn't confined to Los Angeles. It stretched into Nevada, where Cortez tapped a network of trucking contractors tied to Las Vegas nightlife groups; into Oregon, where green energy grant programs masked the import of precursor chemicals; into Arizona, where bribed highway inspectors waved Sinaloa shipments through under the cover of agricultural cargo. A separate folder labeled Transit exposed a staggering truth. Solaris had the infrastructure to move 2.5 tons of narcotics every single week without ever triggering a single automated alert. Shipping manifests were rewritten at origin points. Trucking logs were altered before drivers even started their routes, and temporary way stations were shut down for maintenance at the exact moments convoys passed through. Even more chilling were the direct communications between Cortez and Sinaloa's logistics directors, dozens of messages disguised as policy memos or routine state directives. A file labeled Water Conservation Strategy 14B was actually a covert routing plan for smuggled precursor shipments through agricultural zones. Another file titled Homeless Relief Distribution detailed exactly how fentanyl tablets could be concealed inside donation pallets shipped through Solaris-controlled nonprofits. The financial analysis was equally staggering. Over 30 months, Solaris had laundered $1.2 billion through downtown Los Angeles, real estate developments, renewable energy investment funds, and luxury hotel projects. Each transaction had been sliced into microsegments, routed through foreign accounts in Cyprus, Belize, and Malta, before looping back into California disguised as legitimate international investment. But the true horror waited in the last decrypted file, Phase 7 Regional Stabilization. It laid out Cortez's long-term objective to transform California into Sinaloa's primary manufacturing and distribution hub inside the United States, not just a gateway, a permanent headquarters shielded by political legitimacy and infrastructure dominance. That realization sent chills down the spines of even the most hardened investigators. Solaris wasn't just a cartel pipeline. It was a parallel government, one built in the shadows, engineered through power, and shielded by the very man elected to lead the state. As the agent stared at the glowing map, one truth echoed through the room like a warning shot. California hadn't merely been infiltrated. It had been rebuilt for the cartel's future, and the war to take it back had only just begun. When the final servers were seized and the last convoy stopped, one truth stood above everything else. Power doesn't need violence to destroy a state, it only needs silence. Solaris didn't thrive because the cartel was unstoppable, but because the people in authority chose comfort over duty and ambition over integrity. The consequences have torn California apart. Investigations have been reopened into infrastructure funds, environmental grants, and nonprofit programs that quietly became cartel pipelines. Entire departments have been forced into emergency audits. The greatest lesson from the Solaris nightmare is this: power doesn't need bullets to kill a nation. It only needs the silence of good people. Corruption doesn't start with millions of dollars. It starts with a nod, a look the other way, a signature that makes it legal. When citizens stop watching, stop asking questions, stop demanding transparency, traitors wear suits instead of prison jumpsuits. California almost fell to the cartel, not because Sinaloa was too strong, but because too many chose comfort over responsibility. Always remember, your vote is stronger than any bullet, but only if you stay awake. Solaris wasn't just a drug pipeline, it was a shadow government that almost swallowed California whole. Today it has been smashed, but the price was thousands of lives lost to fentanyl and the shattered trust of an entire state. The question left for all of us: if the man at the very top sold out his own people, who the hell is left to protect us? Next, drop a comment. Where do you think corruption like this is still hiding? Who will be the next Cortez? Like, share, and subscribe so you never miss the truths they try to bury. We can't stay silent anymore.